Well, folks, it's about that time. You guys wanted my thoughts on Invincible Season 3, Episode 1, so let's get into it. Not to really nitpick Cecil's training, but how does this help Mark fight Viltrumites when he's already been fighting giant monsters to begin with, and then this is a giant monster with the brain of a 6-year-old? Boy, if I was Cecil, I wouldn't be satisfied until Mark could fight Hail Mary by himself and win with just hands. But honestly, when you think about it, it's really interesting to see a superhero do strength and endurance training, because you have to absolutely do absurd shit just to get a decent workout with a superhuman body. But Cecil has all the merit in the world, because in 3 months, they increased his strength by 138%, bro. Honestly, I don't know why they didn't just send Rex, because sending Invincible actually is overkill. I swear, Multi-Paul just wanted to catch a body and he just needed a reason, because he has literally no merit, evidence, or motivation to believe that Rex did this. Boy, how do you block yourself? She already said yes, and you still brought up the future clone? So you're telling me this small collection of people right here is the entire superhero community across the United States, and not a single one of them has a superpower that can cut through this egg from the inside? Boy, Mark should be training against this, because it is straight eating his hits. Wait, bro, they just tore it open? Yo, that was easy. I mean, it's kind of hard to disagree with Cecil when Darkwing and the Reaniman are the reason Mark is still even alive to even complain about this. Yeah, well, we were leading up to this. Well, folks, it's about that time. You guys wanted my thoughts on the new Invincible episode of Deal with the Devil, so let's get into it. I'm glad that we're finally getting a little insight into Cecil's backstory. It's hard not to see Cecil as someone who's reasonable already, but after seeing his backstory, I can definitely see more of his side. Cecil lives in the reality that even scum of the earth can still have their uses, because reform is a byproduct of punishment. Why can't these guys make some good out of themselves? Because as you see the moral implication with Mark's side, you see the logical implications with Cecil's side. And he just proved why the villains were a necessary resource. That being said, putting a failsafe inside one of your greatest heroes' heads without his consent is insane. And actively trying to force him back to the Pentagon and make sure he can't get to the other heroes for help? Nah, this is wrong. And then logically speaking, this is stupid, because what's to stop Mark from destroying the planet now because of the fact that you betrayed his trust? I am so glad that all the new Guardians stood up and said, yo, no, that shit was messed up. And Kate has a lot of nerve even opening up her mouth about death, because not everybody has a backup clone in Ecuador or some shit. Like, she herself isn't even here. If you're a real one, you hate the immortal. But adding Darkwing to the team is crazy. It's been a few months. There ain't no time for reform. We can be the good guys, or we can be the guys that save the world. No, you can literally be both. They're called a superhero. But folks, it's about that time. You guys wanted my thoughts on the new Invincible episode. You wanted a real costume, right? So let's get into it. Boy, this situation is so sad. You actually got me looking up their goddamn names, because me caring about the Tether Tyrant and the Mag Maniac was not on my bingo card for this year. And I remember talking about these guys before, because I said Invincible should not be struggling against these D-list villains. I was hearing people be like, yo, you can't say that. Tether Tyrant ain't no D-list. Boy, they're homeless if they don't rob a bank. I understand they don't want Oliver in danger and for him to have a childhood, but that's for like, what, 2 months? He'll be a teenager in no time. It is so hard not to say that I am proud of Rex. This is top-notch quality character development. Like, I really want to see more of Titan's interactions. They're telling us he's cleaning up the city, but I want to see exactly what he's been doing. Like, this is what's so confusing about their dynamic with Oliver and how they're handling this superhero shit, because why give him a suit if he's not ready? And then this is wasted fabric, because he's just gonna grow out of this shit in 2 months. Oh nah, Mark got that new shit on though. They really called this man Invincible, like Invincible can't just change his suit. They look the same. See, like, moments like this is where Oliver literally is proving that he's ready. Like, this wasn't a bad move either. He just needs to train him, because either way, he's still a Viltrumite. Boy, how in the hell is he still alive? Well, folks, it's about that time. You guys wanted my thoughts on the latest Invincible episode. You were my hero, so let's get into it. It's like Mark is trying his hardest to make the government scared of him. They're already paranoid and terrified of this man. This supervillain routine that he keeps hitting every time he sees them is not helping. Mark really needs to reevaluate his job title as a superhero. How the hell they tell you that the future is in danger and you're just like, oh yeah, I gotta get back to my date? Boy, if the immortal took over the world, I have to believe that every other competent person died. So if this is the current timeline's future, that means Mark would have defeated Conquest and then took over the Earth. You're telling me Mr. Self-Righteous, I've lived over centuries, couldn't run the planet with no looming threats? Maybe it's just because he's so jacked in the comics, but I feel like Alan could be bigger. Yeah, so Alan just released these prisoners just to be bullet sponges, huh? Boy, he asked who has the courage to free Battle Beast. I'm wondering who had the courage to capture his ass. Honestly, after watching this episode, why hasn't Cecil recruited someone like Battle Beast? Good God, some of these Viltrumites are different. It takes Alan and Nolan to take this guy down. Boy, they really left this guy with Battle Beast, bro. They have all the faith. Well, folks, it's about that time. You guys wanted my thoughts on the new Invincible episode? This was supposed to be easy, so let's get into it. Everybody understands the nod of recognition. If you know, you know. Boy, after watching this scene, Kate has zero sympathy from me when it comes down to her dying mid-battle. Because he did all that shit to break out and still kept making clones like it was no big deal. Mark and Eve really thought they were slick with a whole child with super hearing in the house. Then Eve got her own treehouse. Y'all couldn't have gotten it in there? Boy, I know Oliver's a good kid, but after that Mauler incident, I would have not left this up to chance. This could have went real bad. Bro, Machine Head needs to be a recurring character. This man is so entertaining. Boy, after that ass whooping Battle Beast put on Mark, I wouldn't blame him for not trusting Titan. But the thing is that you can't argue with Titan's results, especially how he's cleaned up the city. And the problem is that Mark lacks perspective. Oh, another fight where kaijus or kaiju-like powers is a major problem in this world, huh? So Mark would rather destroy the prison, get people murked, and practically free Multipole himself than just work with Titan. Also almost died again too, let's not forget that. All just to get played again for the greater good. Yeah, Mark needs common sense training. I demand more machine head. Well folks, it's about that time. You guys want my thoughts on the latest episode of Invincible? All I can say is I'm sorry, so let's get into it. I absolutely love this episode because we're talking about the topic of superhero accountability. I love the fact that they're actually really trying to make you feel for Scott, and it's working because he's trying to do this the right way. And it's like, as much as you want to feel for Scott, and you do, it's not hard to, but it's the fact that he's blatantly ignoring the facts. But boy, my sympathy went out the window when we find out that this man works for the GDA and he has the proof that he's innocent. I can understand if he was a random civilian with no info, but bro is actually working behind the scenes with the evidence. Like, he can clearly see that Invincible is a victim just as much as they are, but yet he chooses to ignore it. And I love how they display the world is not black and white through Oliver, because he has a perception of his father that the world might not. While Omni-Man may have been a good father and he may feel bad, that doesn't erase all the lies he took. And bro, did they not teach de-escalation in the Guardians? Bro literally said, I don't want to fight, and he just starts swinging on them. And the GDA sucks too, because they can clearly see what he's doing. And boy, I did not feel bad. You did this. Let the Invincible War begin. Well folks, it's about that time. You guys want my thoughts on the newest episode of Invincible? What have I done? So let's get into it. The fact that Angstrom Levy survived that ass whooping can be called nothing less than insane. Well, let's go through the checklist, people. He's finally happy, he's well-rounded, he's a better person, and he told his lover to sit this one out because he got this and he's coming back. Yeah, it's a recipe for he gon' die. Like, there's really tears to this shit is messed up, and this one takes the cake. Like, actually imagine the world is getting bodied by you right now. While simultaneously wrecking the world, they're also destroying your reputation. Boy, I knew Powerplex needed to be in this episode. Hey, say what you will about Cecil's methods, at least they got one. Finally, they put Brit in the show. You see how some of these heroes are actually putting in work when it comes down to fighting these Invincible? And some of them who I didn't think would win is actually coming out with dubs. I need this same energy they're using to beat some of these guys on every threat they go up against. I want y'all to really understand that even with all that training he had, he's really getting pushed back by floating cameras right now. At this point, there is no excuse. Mark just won't lock in when the world needs him the most. But if he want to call himself mad, he better unleash on Conquest. Well, folks, it's about that time. You guys want my thoughts on the latest episode of Invincible? I thought you'd never shut up, so let's get into it. People, it's the fight we've all been waiting for, Invincible versus Conquest. And boy, this is hands down the best episode of Invincible. We finally get to see Mark giving it everything he's got against his absolute demon. And these moments where they're giving Conquest more time to be more petty and more disrespectful are perfect. And boy, the animation on this episode was everything. This entire fight, you couldn't help but just to say, damn, I know that hurt. You feel every bit of the weight of each one of these punches in this fight. And boy, they cannot keep getting away with this shit, please. And they gave y'all what y'all wanted. Adam Eve actually turning up this episode. Boy, they adapted this fight so well. With that original I am so lonely speech, anybody who has a problem with Jeffrey Dean Morgan, come see me. But it adds that layer to the fact that he can change. He just chooses not to. But boy, we finally got what we wanted, and that was Mark locked in for the planet. Mark finally learned a lesson. To protect this planet, he has to kill. Well, folks, it's about that time. We really have to sit back and think about how insane Invincible Season 3's finale really was. Now, this season has had a lot of mixed reviews, but I feel like everyone can agree that this episode was one of the best in the series. Not only was this animation top-notch phenomenal for this episode, but they absolutely killed it when it came down to making Conquest an imposing threat, while delivering a new grounded moment where even a monster like him can even seem human. I feel like this incident is going to permanently change Oliver because he remembers everything perfectly, so he's going to remember the exact feeling of this, everything Conquest is describing to him. And after everything he's seen, he's definitely going to be fundamentally changed after this. But then even in this finale, mistakes are still being made. Mark should have known damn well Cecil was not getting rid of that body. Then nobody's mentioning the fact that Robot really just changed his name to Rex at this man's funeral. That shit is weird. We're setting up for the second coming of the Sequid invasion, and we're getting some brand new shit with Damien Darkblood. This is not in the comics, and I'm absolutely hyped to see more of it. Then of course Conquest is coming back because Cecil's an idiot thinking that 400 tons is gonna stop this man. These guys literally throw asteroids back into space. I swear he's dumb.